Alrighty, today I thought I'd try something a little different. I thought I would show a few videos of some digs where palmers came out, and this is the bulk of my palmer collection. Yes, I collect palmer greenies, mainly because this one here was the very first one I dug up, and there's an interesting story with that, as well as the round guy next to it. Unfortunately, I dug those up in the 60s, mid-1960s, and of course back then we weren't taking pictures of anything except for our girlfriends. And cars. Yeah, that was it. If you happen to notice the piezo's over here, you have a sharp eye, because that came out of the one hole that I dug the most palmer greens out of. So we will just set that to the side for right now. And basically I'm going to break up my collection along with what else was found with it in the corresponding dig holes. And hopefully I'll piece this thing together with some sense to it, or order. So bear with me, it's an experiment. Yep. Okay, December 12, 2014, end of the year. Possibly my last dig of the season. Behind 515 or thereabouts. Next door behind me is 517. Haven't found a privy here yet. 3 houses. And I suspect it might be under that, what looks like an add-on possibly, straight ahead under the cement. Might have to wait till they tear that up. That's one of the most likely spots. And possibly where that white board is there under the window. Not a lot of room here for a privy. This spot is the most likely spot because it's depressed. I've avoided it because it looked too obvious, like it had been dug. But it's one of the few remaining spots I haven't dug yet, so that's what we're doing. Test hole. Well, alrighty. After nearly 3 hours of digging, I'm down about 6-7 foot. Right about where that ledge is where the use layer starts. It was a newer wood liner, turn of the century. I'm starting to hit some 1890 stuff. I got a cool little Larkin's soap company, and this, what would have been a cool tray of some sort. I don't know what the heck that was. But oddity of oddities, I dug up a cup and saucer, and they're in perfect shape. Look at that. The handle's still there. I don't even see any chips on anything. Probably is somewhere, but that's highly unusual. And a tortoise shell comb. I don't know. I thought about keeping it, maybe. It's another one of those Larkin soap guys, but the lips busted. And Gourard's Oriental cream, face cream. This is an earlier one. The later ones had like 4 ounces embossed on them or something. But, and a cool goblet, but it's broken. Missing part of the base. But that would have been cool. And in the hole we have 2 bottles down there. So I'm going to turn this off till I get down there, and then try to film them coming out. Yippee skippy. Hope they're good. They're both dark colored. Who knows? Might be good. Alright. After fiddle farting with the damn camera for half of forever, we are looking at 2 bottles. We got one there and one there. So we will ever gently try to extract this guy. Oh, feels like there's another one behind him. Yay, it's what we like to see, a bottle mine. Oh, that's what I thought it was. It's a Palmer's. These are cool. They're beautiful green color. You can't probably see much green there, but these are favorites for me. The first time I dug one of these, it was like 1966 or 7, somewhere in there. I remember the thrill well. That's a good bottle. Looks to be in good shape. I don't see any chips. And the other one next to it, I don't know, looks like another one possibly. I thought the glass looked dark, but kind of hard to tell now. Ooh, it feels like one. Oh, look at that. It's a Palmer mine. We got a couple of them. Look at that baby. Yay. And I suspect these are going to clean up really nicely. Yeah, the nice color. 1890s perfumes. Oh, I'm happy, happy, happy. That made the day worthwhile right there. Well, I was going to grab the camera real quick because I thought it was a Palmer, but it was small on the end. And when I pulled it out, sure as heck, it's one of the cylindrical, near cylindrical styled ones. I've only dug one other one of these. Dug a few of the other ones, but the only other one I dug I accidentally broke. And you know, they're not worth a whole lot, but god damn, they're pretty. I mean, look at the color in that. I wish I had some sunlight back there. Gray days. But this'll. What was I saying? This'll make my day sunny and bright. Yes, indeed. Look at that baby. Well, while I was enjoying my most recent finds, I had a minor cave-in here. I got to poking around back in the Palmer mine, and there's a what looks to be Palmer bottle number 4 down there. I'm going to give it a little wiggle. It looks like another one of those. Oh boy, and it is. Another one of them. Ain't that pretty? And in mint condition, it looks like. Oop, I take it back. It has no bottom. How weird is that? I guess I better check my other one. To just have no bottom like that? That's unheard of. Oh well. Can't be greedy. Alrighty, well, 4 hours later, I got a decent little haul, mainly because of the Palmers. But then over there I got a green Pisos cure and a Dr. King's new discovery for both for consumption. And what's funny was that Piso was the next bottle after the last Palmer I dug up. I expected it to be another Palmer. So I was really surprised when it was a Piso. Bummed, because they're pretty common. Not as pretty as the Palmers either. But anyway, we still got a little bit of layer down at the bottom, so I got to come back in the morning and finish her up. I'll throw a board over it and call it good for the day. Yeehaw. Well, alrighty, here we are again. Saturday, 12/13, at about 10:13, and yeah, we're back at the Palmer mine, as I call it. Maybe there's one more. I don't know. Doubt it. I actually hope there's a Primley's Speedy cure for coughs and colds in there, because I don't have one. And that's the one that escaped me yesterday. Anyway, here to finish it out, hopefully by noon. Well, almost 2 hours to the minute. I finally reached the end. Except for the easiest part, filling in the hole. Although, being the easiest part doesn't mean it's something I look forward to. And down there, well, you might get a glimpse of the water in the right-hand corner. Well, let me do it this way. Right-hand, lower right corner. You can almost see the remnants of the old wood lining. Down where it was taken on water, the wood was preserved. Up above, it's long gone. Yeah, that wall's clean as a whistle, except for the corner posts. And they were pretty far down, too. Hardly any evidence that there was a hole here until you got down about 3 or 4 feet. Yeah, it was a beast to find. And didn't find much out of the hole today. Mostly a bunch of nothings. I got one Henry Webster. Hannibal Pharmacy. They were only around for 1 or 2 years in the mid-1880s. 85, 86, maybe 87. By 88, there was no listing at all for Henry Webster forever. He moved on. So, it was still fun. Now to fill her in. Alright, back to the bots. These came out of a dig a couple of years ago, and I decided to go back and grab this guy because I can't remember where I dug him up. The one in the video, as you recall, has no bottom to it. It's like somebody hit it with an ice pick, or, you know, not an ice pick, but like a pick, you know, just something. I've never seen a bottom so cleanly broke out of a bottle before. I've only dug up a handful of these guys, and I usually remember each and every one where I dug it, but for the life of me, I can only remember digging that one up in this particular hole. And of course these other two came out with it, and I suspect the more brilliant green, as opposed to the 7-Up green, are a bit older, because the lighter the color, they seem to be closer to the turn of the century, where they embossed 2.5 ounces underneath Palmer on them. And of course I was sure this was going to be another Palmer. And I read somewhere where Paiso, we've always pronounced it Paiso or Pisso. However you're feeling in the moment. But apparently you're supposed to pronounce it like a Z. It's supposed to be Paizo. Anyway, they're always fun to dig. Apparently they were loaded with cannabis, which would probably stop you from coughing if you drank enough of it. Anyway, that one was somewhat of a fun dig. It was real mucky. Ground was real muddy and thick clay. But, you know, if you're pulling out Palmer green bottles, what the heck? What's to complain about, I say, yeah. Okay, day before Thanksgiving, about 3 o'clock, 2:45. Marilyn's beautiful 1890s house. Site of a earlier, at least 1870s house. This one looks plain on the outside. I'll tell you what, on the inside it's something else. And all four of these houses are on the 1876 map, or at least there was a house here. This one says it was 1890, built 1890. So if I find the newer privy, it's probably got money. Older one has age. Can't go wrong either way. Backyard is where that cement slab is, all the way over to the shed is cement. Believe it or not. Yeah, not going to find much there. But on the map there was a barn there and a big huge shed over here. So 1890 map, it showed where it looked like there was a privy back along behind the shed here. But again, it's all cement back there. I'm not, and yeah. Although I did find something interesting between my two flags here, right there and right there. So I'm going to open it up real quick, see what's going on, and if it's a hole, I'll tarp it over and come back tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day. In the morning, oh God, it's going to be so cold. But could be worth it. Might be the last dig of the season. We already had 1 7-inch snow a week or so ago, 10 days ago. So I'm taking advantage of the warm weather. The break, it's 55 right now. It's supposed to be just as warm tomorrow, Friday and Saturday. Not quite as, but 40s. I'll take that in the end of November. Yeah. Oh, by the way, it's November 21st. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving on the earliest day it could fall on, November 22nd. So, might be an early birthday present to myself. Who knows? Well, after about 3 hours of digging, I'm not sure what time it is, but I got one big pile of dirt, a small pile of bottles. I got only 3 embossed bottles, if you don't count jars. I don't count jars. Anyway, I'm almost done. I got a little corner back on the back corner there. And now it's time to fill her in. Call it good for a day. Got one bottle from Ohio, a pharmacy. I thought it was a Louisiana pharmacy. Oh no, from Circleville, Ohio. I can't even find it on the map in my head. Oh well. Alrighty, Thanksgiving morning, November 22nd, about 8:30 in the morning. I'm here to finish what little is left to finish behind 622 North Carolina, circa 1890. Not a whole lot to show for it, but then again, it didn't go very deep. 4-5 feet in the middle. But it is a rather long one, it seems. I'm back another couple of feet underneath there at least. So, I'm just going to make short work of it because I got stuff to do today. Like turkeys to stuff. Alrighty, back to the Palmer's collection. These two came out of a dig, again about the same time as the last one. A couple of blocks up the street from me, 1890s pit. And I had dug one of these up years ago, but it had a really sizable base chip out of it, so this one replaced it, which pleased me no end. It's always nice to dig and upgrade. Embossed on the shoulder, Palmer Parfumer. Or Perfumer, yeah, they didn't spell it the French way. Solon, there we go, there's the, I knew there was French there. Solon Palmer Perfumer. And nice little size. Along with that particular size, there was this industrial strength size. Same basic thing, but a lighter color. I suspect, again, it's a little bit newer. All of these are tooled top, by the way. Hand blown. I have seen some Palmer bottles that were machine made, but they weren't the greenies. I don't know if they made them machined or not. I've never seen one. And this one didn't come out of this dig, but I thought I would add it and yak about it anyway, because that's what I do. Anyway, a larger size, lighter color, so I suspect it's closer to the early 1900s. These two guys are definitely 1890s, because that's all that came out of that hole. And Caleb's is a Quincy, Illinois bottle. And come to find out, it doesn't say Quincy. Vegetable Quick Relief. Too bad it didn't say Cure. That would be a treasure. It's the only Caleb's bottle I've dug up. I did find a Caleb's eye water that was ponnelled. Little tiny square guy. And I would say I found it because I didn't dig it. I went to a site where I followed the dump trucks. Now here's a clue for you. If you can't get access to where they're digging up, follow the dump trucks, because wherever they're dumping, you might get lucky. Oddly enough, this delicate ponnelled little Caleb's eye water, which I think is the only one in existence, they advertised it, but that was as far as anybody had heard of it. I didn't even know where it was from. My buddy Brandon over in Quincy told me it was a Quincy bottle, but it was laying in the middle of the tracks from one of the dump trucks. The dump truck ran over it and it didn't crush it like an egg. Unbelievable. So anyway, that one's 1890s, and I don't think they made them much. I don't think they made them into the 20th century at all. I've never dug them out of 1890s context. So anyway, next batch coming up, or next one coming up, I should say. Well, alrighty, January 15th, although it's supposed to be 50 degrees today. About 9:30 in the morning, behind 516 Maryland. It's the third time I've been back here. First time I dug there. Second time I dug further over. And then yesterday I probed out something right in this area. So I'm gonna do a little exploratory here and see if we can scare up a hole. Last time I was here there was a little trash pit with a half a dozen flasks, and that was about it. Nothing else. And the other spot, broken glass. This was on the 1876 map, so there's bound to be something fairly old here. And my friend and neighbor Will let me dig in his yard next door last summer. That second hole furthest away, I found a Pike's Peak flask, only my second one. Quart size though, so that was good. who knows what's down here. Won't know if I keep standing here gabbing away. Okay, well, after about just barely a half hour of digging, I'm down about 3 foot. And I've already hit a seed layer down there. I don't know if you can see any of those seeds or not, but that's almost a sure sign of a privy, because that's what's left of the poop juice. And a little bit of what looks like lime thrown in for good measure. And a couple of scraps of pottery here and there. So we widened it out and we're going deeper. Yep. Well, after about exactly an hour where I left off, we're down a bit deeper now, a bit wider, and we actually hit a use layer. That one's got a chip. A couple of Wyeth brothers, a Colgate perfume, and a glycothymoline, not a glycoheroin, the rare ones, and a smattering of unembossed crap. Turn of the century. Looking a little later than that first one I pulled out. It doesn't have the double collar on it. So far, nothing of any interest, really. Can't tell if it's a trash pit or a privy pit. Definitely has evidence of seedy privy soil. Might have been just a pit where they dumped the chamber pot. Hard to tell. Doesn't go down any deeper than what you're looking at. 4 foot, maybe. So we keep plugging along. That's about all we can do. Plug. Well, pulled this bad boy out about 5 minutes ago. I thought it had a big crack in it. Apparently that's just in the glass weird looking bubble. There's no refraction, no. I mean, if that's a crack, I've never seen one like that. Can't feel it. I'm calling it a manufacturing flaw. The rest of it's perfect. It's an earlier one, doesn't have the ounces embossed on it. And it's, I don't know, it's almost a cross between a Palmer green and a later 7-Up green. Haven't dug one of these bad boys up in a while. I have a shelf dedicated to them, so I know where it's going. On the shelf, yeah. Where else? Well, this time it didn't look like I buried a dead horse or even a dead dog. Surprise, surprise. I pulled out a dozen bottles. Only one keeper, really. There's another spot similar to this that probed out between here and the tree. Though if the root factor on this hole is any consideration, I don't want to get any closer to that tree. Or any tree. The roots were brutal. Remember that. Roots are brutal. Okay, well, this dig was a sad pit indeed. It was a trash pit, and probably early 1900s, I suspect. This one's a little bit lighter green, almost a 7-Up color. And the reason I remember out of all of the many, and these seem to be the most common of the colored Palmers. I have yet to see one this size, this shape in clear glass, although it wouldn't terribly surprise me. But I have yet to see one. Although little teeny samplers do come in clear glass. Matter of fact, that's all I've seen them in. The reason I remember this one is because of what I thought was a crack in it. When I first dug it up, I was like, oh, crud. The only decent bottle out of this trash pit. It's got to have a big crack in it. Well, turns out it's not a crack. It's just a weird shaped bubble in the glass. I don't know if I can get a good picture of that or not, but yeah, every which way, you know. And another thing to tell cracks, they always will refract. I mean, this one looks like it's refracting, but it's really not. And by refracting, I mean it should disappear at a certain angle. Unless, of course, it stretches over a long area, and then as you change it, the angle is still going to show a refraction somewhere. You know, forget about trying to run your nail over it. You know, that's the best way. Is if it'll refract, then you know you got a crack. And if it doesn't refract, then break out the old magnifier. A lot of times it's just a string of bubbles or something weird in the glass, a bird swing or who knows what. But anyway, another greenie. Always fun to dig, even in a skimpy trash pit. Alright, and my greatest haul came from over a 20-year stretch in this one dump. We used to call it the Elks Lodge dump in San Luis Obispo, which is where I really cut my teeth from the mid-60s to the early 80s. And my very first one was this bad boy here. I was digging along, and the bottle was in the wall like this, and I smacked it with my shovel, never seeing anything because the cork was still in it. But I did see this thing go flying by my face, and I caught a weird glimpse of it, and I thought, what the heck was that? So I went and I hunted it down in the dirt behind me, came up with this, and it was like, wow, that looks like a cork stopper of some sort, which of course it's a shaker stopper to shake out the cologne. So I went back, and lo and behold, I looked in the wall, and there's this hole staring at me, and it's just amazing that I didn't split it right down to the shoulder with my shovel. I hit it that hard enough to, you know, break the half of the metal that's missing off of this thing. I never did find any of that. And that was 1966, and I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, you know, this thing has been in my collection for half of its life, probably. You know, just close anyway. You know, yeah, that's just kind of almost scary to think about. This one also came out of the Elks dump a year or two later. It was in the 60s, later 60s. And again, I dug it from the threads, not knowing really what I had encountered. And it was kind of under a shelf where I couldn't get a good feel for the color, but I could tell it was threaded. And I'm like, oh crap, it's probably another Horlicks malted milk or some junk like that. And when I pulled it out, I was like really surprised and happy. And these are pretty rare birds. I've never even dug a broken one since this guy in all that time. This one again is another early kind of a shiny Palmer green to it. And just for those of you who are wondering why it's embossed in white, that's water-soluble paint. Back in the 60s, me and a few high school buddies, we were going to do a book and photograph them, and this is for purpose of photographing so you could read the darn things. when you took a picture, but it also helped to make it pop out on your shelf too. So we painstakingly would sit around with our little paint brushes and white paint for colored bottles and black paint for clear or aqua, and paint away. And that's remnants from like the late 60s. It's still on there. And the other two came out of the same dump. This is the same as the others, but a more scarce, tall guy. And they also made this guy in a tall size, but I've never seen one outside of the book. So there you have it. Here's my Palmer collection, all in one drum roll. Brrrump.